Hello and welcome this cold Thursday morning to Market Insights. I am Lavina Emma. On Market Insights, we bring you stock market analysis, commodities, and currency updates. So let's get into perspective. In today's economy, agricultural commodities such as wheat, corn, rice, and livestock are very expensive, and the prices keep increasing. The same thing applies to the energy commodities such as crude oil, natural gas, and every Nigerian uses the above mentioned items for their daily uses. Now, we know that as people, we need to eat, and we also need food such as our regular grains, our rice, our cassava products like gari, and our wheat. We also need to eat that every day, and we also need to commute from one place to another. So we need fuel for our vehicles to commute. Now, due to this economic hardship, the prices of food items have been increasing. The same thing applies with price. So how do the citizens cope with the prices of these commodities when they keep increasing every day? Everyone is talking about it, and we are all looking for a way out. So on today's show, we will discuss how to cope with our personal finances in this current economic situation. So join us after the break.
In the heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress, welcome to Souk News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, Souk News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. Souk News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, Souk News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. Souk News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions. In the heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress, welcome to Souk News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, Souk News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. Souk News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, Souk News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. Souk News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions. National Theatre, Igomu. Built during the military regime of Olusegun Obasanjo and finished in the time for the Second World Festival of Black Arts and Culture, Festac, in 1977. The theatre holds amazing treasures and memories. The artworks fill everyone with pride. The National Arts Theatre is visible from the motorway which connects Lagos Island and the mainland. The National Theatre is packed with the artworks of a legendary contemporary Nigerian artist, stained glass walls by Yusuf Grillo, sculptures and murals by Lamidi Fakeye, Erabo Emopai, and many others. It was put to full use for a month as one of the 4 venues of the Second World Black and African Festival of Arts and Culture, tagged Festac 77. The complex hosted 16,000 participants from 56 African countries and the diaspora in an unprecedented showcase of African music, fine art, literature, drama, dance, and religion. The National Art Theatre was built and designed by Techno Expert Stroll, a Bulgarian company mirroring the Palace of Culture and Sports in Varna, Bulgaria. Completed in 1976, the building is one of the largest and most beautiful of its kind on the African continent. It consists of a central hall with 5,000 seats, a collapsible stage that can be quickly rebuilt, a conference hall with 1,600 seats, 2 large exhibition halls, and 2 cinemas with 800 seats each. The theatre complex has a dressing room for artists, a garage, offices, coffee bars, and a buffet. It has indoor TV and radio systems, as well as booths with facilities for simultaneous translation of languages and hectares of lush green lawn around. The majestic structure sits in Igomu like a quiet mountain, mesmerizing visitors and passers-by. The National Theatre. Souk Enlightenment.
Welcome back. So before we went on the break, I spoke briefly about the current situation in the country, the hard economic situation, how people are complaining about the prices of food items, how it keeps increasing every day, the price of petrol that we use to move about for our daily commute. And we all need some break. We need a respite from this situation. It's been going on for far too long. And we have discussed here on this show, we could also invest in the capital markets to make some extra money for us to survive in this economic situation. And a guest of mine also recommended that we could each have a small garden in our homes behind, maybe at the back of the house, for us to be able to plant food items, for us to like vegetables, so that it's not all the time we could always go to the market. And we could also have some small businesses we could be doing on the sides just to get sufficient money in addition to what we also have, because we are all complaining about this economic situation. Well, today, on a very personal angle, we're going to be talking about our personal finances and how it's been affected by this inflation in the economy, how it's been affected by, because we all know that what we used to buy maybe last year, 2-3 years ago, what we used to buy for 10,000 naira, for 20,000 naira, now we know those prices have gone up. You can't take a certain amount to the market and you get some change. Like, you need to have extra money with you. I talked about livestock. The prices of livestock for chicken, for goat meat, for cow meat, the prices have gone up, and the traders don't want to take all the blame. They also say that when they are purchasing these items from wholesalers, it's quite expensive for them. So they need to also gain back whatever money they have also made. So it all boils down to the consumers and how we can survive in this economic hardship. Yes, we know the federal government has put certain measures in place, like how we can increase our production, how we could also patronize our locally made food items in the country. It's been going on for some time, how the government reserves need to be opened and grains from the government reserves should be released, and how also the Rice Millers Association, how they should also release some grains so that we could have sufficient food in the market. We all know that when we have the money to buy these items, but there is a lack of goods, a lack of this produce in the items, it means that there's some kind of hoarding going on and there's some kind of artificial scarcity. So we need to actually work together as a people to solve this situation right now. And I believe that eventually we'll be able to get out of this situation. Yes, I also know that it's temporary because we know economies all over the world have experienced their own share of inflation at one point in time or the other, but with joint forces with the government, what the government puts on ground and what the people also put on ground, we know that this situation will definitely ease off, and then we'll be back to how things were, that we could afford to purchase our items with the money we had, and we could also get quality for the money we had. Let's take a quick break now. When we get back, we'll discuss further on Market Insight. Stay tuned.
Three Wise Men. Iconic sculptures and statues adorn major metropolitan cities of the world. In Lagos, Nigeria, the statue of three men designed to depict the state's cultural heritage and to usher in visitors and tourists into the ever-accommodating center of excellence is no doubt an astounding work of art. Originally built under the administration of Colonel Raji Rasaki, designed by Babajide in 1991 and standing over 12 feet high, referred to as Agba Meta or Aro Meta, the three sculptured chiefs were placed along the Lagos-Ibadan toll gate to welcome people coming into Lagos State. The statue, called the Three Wise Men, by many has become a major signature for the state. Three white-capped chiefs, clad in white wrappers, knotted across their shoulders and with clenched right fists, are shown in the artwork. The images fascinate and create impressions in the minds of visitors coming into the state, captivating the attention of visitors who look with keen interest, pondering on the messages which the posture of the engraved images signifies. The Three Wise Men has been relocated thrice from its original position at Ojodu Berger end of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway to Magodo area before its final relocation to its present site at Olowo Drive. The sculpture has suffered severe damages over the years and renovated. Bodun Shodende, through this sculpture, depicted the highest honor that can be afforded to anyone in the eco-greeting tradition. The Three Wise Men, Arometa, Souk Enlightenment. In the heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress, welcome to Souk News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, Souk News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. Souk News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, Souk News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. Souk News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions.
My name is Yinka Babalola.
My name is Ijoma Pelokoro.
My name is Joshua Hassan.
I am Rotarian or Mosunde Lawson.
It's Ife Yunwarita Ejeze. My friends call me Ife.
My name is Rotarian Lola Dare.
I'm inviting you to keep watching Souk News. It's the right station to tune to.
I like Souk News. Souk News is good.
I want to charge you all to listen to Souk News, watch the news.
You can have unlimited news first time.
Find Souk News. Be with Souk News. Never switch off. You are better for it. Souk News is the real thing.
Listen to their coverage and you'll be glad you did.
Turn to your YouTube, turn to your Instagram, turn to all your digital channels and look for Souk News.
Keep watching.
Keep watching.
Please, guys, keep watching.
Souk News.
The heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress. Welcome to Souk News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, Souk News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. Souk News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, Souk News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. Souk News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions. The National Theatre, Igomu. Built during the military regime of Olusegun Obasanjo and finished in the time for the Second World Festival of Black Arts and Culture, FESTAC, in 1977. The theatre holds amazing treasures and memories. The artworks fill everyone with pride. The National Arts Theatre is visible from the motorway which connects Lagos Island and the mainland. The National Theatre is packed with the artworks of legendary contemporary Nigerian artists, stained glass walls by Yusuf Grillo, sculptures and murals by Lamidi Fakeye, Erabo Emopai, and many others. It was put to full use for a month as one of the 4 venues of the Second World Black and African Festival of Arts and Culture, tagged FESTAC 77. The complex hosted 16,000 participants from 56 African countries and the diaspora in an unprecedented showcase of African music, fine art, literature, drama, dance, and religion. The National Art Theatre was built and designed by Techno Expert Stroll, a Bulgarian company, mirroring the Palace of Culture and Sports in Varna, Bulgaria. Completed in 1976, the building is one of the largest and most beautiful of its kind on the African continent. It consists of a central hall with 5,000 seats, a collapsible stage that can be quickly rebuilt, a conference hall with 1,600 seats, 2 large exhibition halls, and 2 cinemas with 800 seats each. The theatre complex has a dressing room for artists, a garage, offices, coffee bars, and a buffet. It has indoor TV and radio systems, as well as booths with facilities for simultaneous translation of languages and hectares of lush green lawn around. The majestic structure sits in Igomu like a quiet mountain, mesmerizing visitors and passers-by. The National Theatre, Souk Enlightenment.
Welcome back from that break. So before we went on the break, we were talking about how we, as citizens of this country, how we can cope effectively with the economic inflation currently happening and what steps we can actually take. So today we're going to be discussing how to manage our personal finance during this economic hardship. But we know that this hardship is only going to last for a short time, and we know very soon things will be restored in our country. So joining me for today's show is my guest, Mr. Charles Fakura. Mr. Charles Fakura is an investment banker. He's also a stockbroker with over 20 years experience in the Nigerian financial services industry. So he's going to discuss with us how to manage your personal finances during this economic hardship and how to spend wisely and how to effectively manage your budgets during this period. So thank you for coming to the show, Mr. Charles Fakura.
Thank you for having me, Lovina. It's nice being here.
Yes, I'm happy you're here today to actually discuss the situation with us. It's been going on for a very long time. These days you go to both your local grocery store and even the local market, and the prices of things keep increasing, whether it's food items or household items or even the fuel we use for our cars for daily commute every day. The prices are going up and Nigerians are complaining. So before we get right into that, let's talk about the stock market. Okay. What's happening in the stock market from Monday to Wednesday this week? How did the stock markets fare concerning who were the top gainers and the bottom losers?
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, you see, anyway, it's a rainy day today, but thank God I was able to make it. Yes, the market started the week in a negative note. We saw the ASI closing in negative territory on Monday, Tuesday, but there was a rebound on Wednesday, that is yesterday, and we can see that this is a result of the investors, like we always say, positioning themselves for the earnings. What I mean earnings, the reports of these companies sending to the market. You know, so you don't need to wait till those earnings get to the market. You have to position yourself. So that's why we are seeing a lot of what we call portfolio rebalancing. People want to sell, take position in this security. So that's all what played out, you know, between Monday and Tuesday. But on Wednesday, we see a rebound. Of course, we cannot rule out the essence of profit taking. Some persons have their own plan, and if you have a plan that a particular stock you have bought, it has got it to a certain price which is within what you want, then of course you can exit. So there is also the issue of profit taking. But again, we also have to look at what is happening in the economy, again in the country, a lot of inflation. So people need to really sell off to begin to withstand some of the pressures that is coming with inflation.
Yes, and we know our top gainers this week. We have Julie Pharmacy, just like last week, and FBN, Up Credits. You know, these are top gainers with 9.96% and 9.06%. And then the bottom losers, Sterling, Okomu Oil, Morrison, Caverton, with figures like minus 9.969%, minus 9.34%. So how are these companies faring? We know every now and then the figures always change. It's not the same people who are top gainers, not the same people who are the bottom losers. So how do we actually go forward with this?
Yes, we always say that for the dynamics in the market, we have what we call people are buying, people are selling. You know, so this continuous buying and selling. We don't expect price to remain the same. Prices will go up, prices will come down. So let's take a typical day, and we have a lot of people that wants to buy a particular securities. And when they get to the market, the people that are selling that security is few. So what will happen, if I am, as a trader, I watch the market and I see that the security I want to sell, a lot of people wants to buy it. And if I had quoted the price before, I would change my price.
Yes.
You know, I put it high. So at the end of the day, you might see that that particular security will close in the positive territory. The same also applies if people are selling, okay, for a particular security, and maybe because they are desperate, they just want to sell, and people who are buying are also few. So if I come to the market, I want to buy security, I see that I want to buy maybe 10,000 units, and I'm saying that they are offering to sell to me about 1 million units. I'll say, no. I will reduce the price I want to buy. So, and at the end, at the close of the market, you might see that security closing in the negative territory. There are other factors that contribute to this pricing of securities, but demand and supply is a main factor affecting the prices of security, and of course other macroeconomic conditions, and of course the performance of that particular company.
Yes,
so
and that is why talk about how it's faring in the stock market generally. Yes, a lot of people when they look at the reports, they want to see, oh, how is this company faring? Whether it's a food company or a mining company or an oil company, they want to know how these companies are actually faring before they start investing in shares in that company.
Yes, and that is why we keep saying that when you want to invest in the stock market, you need to do your own little research.
Yes.
At least the first thing is to get a stockbroker. And once you have a stockbroker, the number one thing to do is tell your stockbroker, these are your interests. Some persons who want to invest in a company because their father worked in that company.
Yes, that's another factor.
Some person want to invest in a company because they've been using the product of that company. Some persons want to invest just because their friends told them this company is good, come and invest in this company. Yeah. While some persons just invest, not even knowing their purpose of investment. That's why we are saying you need to have your own investment philosophy, your own investment objective. Yeah. Once you have that, it becomes easier for the stockbroker to assist you so that you get optimal return from the money, your resources you are investing. Do your research. See that the companies you are investing into, these are companies that, yes, you can see the product, what they are actually producing. People are actually buying it, you know, whether they have money or they don't have money, what economists will call inelastic demand. You know, just like you have mentioned food now. Whether people like money or have money or don't have money, everybody wants to feed. Yes. So at least they will get the barest minimum. So those are some of the things investors should look out for. And investing in the stock market, I always say, there is risk that is involved because you are saying you want to own part of that company, and that is when only the company makes profits and the board decides to pay part of that profit as dividend. Yes. Then of course the shareholders will approve in the annual general meeting. That is when you get benefits in form of dividend. If the company does not make any profit, you can't force them to pay. So you have to look at the risks that you can take with this company. And of course, but over time, we have seen that investors who invest in the stock market over a period of 5 years' time or even more, they make more money compared to other asset class. But my watchword has always been diversify your portfolio. Have different. You can have equity, you can have debt, you can have real estate, you can even have these days what we even call derivatives in your portfolio, but that's a subject for another day.
Exactly. So I believe investing wisely will be the appropriate thing to do, not just being a loyal customer and choosing a particular company to invest in. You need to educate yourself on the right kind of stocks to buy, or better still, get an opinion from a well-experienced stockbroker. So thank you for that, Mr. Charles. So so on to today's show. I said we're going to discuss personal finances and the current economic situation in the country. It's something everybody has been complaining about. We experience it every day, buying, commuting. We experience it when we discuss with our friends, our family members. How are we going to cope? But first of all, what is personal finance?
Yes, again, this is a very intelligent question because I get it all the time. First of all, I am a stockbroker, investment banker, a dealing clerk, but we've also gone further to take certification on personal finance. And with due respect to some economists, even some accountants, you know, they think because you have studied economics, you have studied banking and finance, you have studied maybe any of the finance courses, you think you are an expert in personal finance. You are not. Now, when you talk of finance in itself, you have three types of finance. You have the first one we're all aware of, corporate finance. which is the company finance, they
finance,
publish annual report and all that. That is the corporate finance. You can have an experienced accountant who heads as a chief finance officer and all that. That is corporate finance. Now, when you now go to government, you have what they call public finance. Now, a new part of finance that is coming up now is the personal finance, which is quite different from this other corporate finance and public finance. Yes. So what is even the personal finance? It's just simply managing your money as a business. You know when your income is coming, if you're a salary or salary earner, when your money is coming. Before that salary comes to you, you already have a budget. That is budgeting now. You budget has how you are going to spend that your income you are expecting. Yes. Now, the mistake most of us make is, it is when the money has entered our account. That's when we are drawing
our budget. Yes.
But can't you see that the budget Nigeria will spend for 2024, it has to be approved by 2023.
Yes.
So you can see that even as big as Nigeria, they have to prepare their budget. So each individual, you have to prepare your own budget. That is, knowing your source of income, your expenses, and of course, you make provision for savings. So personal finance is just simply looking at your money and managing it as a business. There are various aspects of personal finance, but we know that personal finance encompasses one, your financial planning, because you have to plan financially. You also have financial counseling.
Yes.
Financial counseling, you know, and that is why.
Who would offer the financial counselor? To be a stockbroker?
No, of course, not necessarily a stockbroker, but somebody who has been certified as a personal financial planner. It has its own curriculum. Then you also have financial psychology, then financial therapy. This is what encompasses personal finance. Like I said, it's a field on its own. And these are persons who have been trained to understand your personal finance and give appropriate advice. And what are the tools that they use? Budgeting.
Yes.
You need to have, and that's why your financial plan, you must have a plan for. But first of all, the first thing there is savings. And we have always said that it is better to save than go and spend what is left.
Yes, after you have
saved.
Yes,
but what we do most of the time is we go and spend, come back, and we want to save after we have spent. There will be no money to save. Then your personal financial plan will also need to have what we call an investment plan. You know, you need to have a savings plan, an investment plan. Then that is how you are going to invest some part of your money, either in the stock market, either in real estate, or any other business. You also need to have what we call a risk management plan, which is insurance, because you need to take a personal insurance for yourself.
Well, you know, insurance is not something that is too popular. We know people who own vehicles have to buy insurance for their vehicles, but personally, it's not something that is so common amongst the average Nigerian. You don't see them saying, oh, let me get some insurance for my personal savings, let me get some insurance for personal things I want to do, because every single naira or kobo matters to you, actually.
Yes, because...
just a second, please hold that thought, Mr. Charles, while we actually move on to, at the moment, the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, is currently having a press conference to discuss this economic situation in the country. So we're moving on to a live press briefing with the governor of Lagos State. Stay tuned.
Is that we actually even want to start with our own public servants and to say that given the challenge that we see now, can we even be creative and have a flexible working hour? And so immediately from next week, we're working out a plan where civil servants from level 0, from 1 to 14, will come to the office maximum 3 times a week, right? Not that any form of government will be shut down. It will be all calendarized and it will be on schedule. Levels 15 to 17 will miss work a day. what are we seeking to achieve? We're seeking to achieve a process where people will even slow down, right? Try and let's know that the pressure, right, we can reduce it, from the work environment that we find ourselves. We don't want a charged, public workforce. We don't want, an aggravated public workforce. Let them be able to see reasons and work remotely. We have a lot of, online, capabilities now that can also, you can send some of the response to some of the work you are doing for you, or can do it. And Lagos State has, such resources. So the first thing is to look at ourselves and be the first change, that we want. So we will be reducing the number of days that they'll come. You don't have to put pressure on the road. You don't have to be on the road for 3 hours trying to say you're trying to get home at night. So you can plan better. You also can reduce, your economic pressure. We have in the fleet of the public service over 120, buses, but it's not enough, right? So reduce it. Let's plan out our time. Services will not be disrupted. Services will not be reduced. To our citizens, you want something for government, there will still be somebody that will do it for you. 2 other arms of government that are already doing it. In the health sector, they always have a calendarization. They always have, days off and rest. So they will continue in that line. Our teaching, sector will continue. Our students will continue to come for 5 days. We'll work out an additional transport support for our classroom teachers to ensure that, they keep the 5 days, because we know that these pupils have exam time and the rest of it. So we will continue, to keep that. So that will be the first baseline, for us to be able to reduce the pressure and the tension that we have amongst ourselves. The next line is also to look at our pensioners, right? How well have we fared, to reduce the burden of pension liabilities? I dare say that Lagos State is the first, to ensure that our pensioners, as we speak now, we're at a stage where it's only pensioners that have retired in 2023 that have not been given their full payment. Every other one has been cleared. And this year alone, in January, we cleared some outstanding pensioners. February, we've done over 4-5 billion already this year. Next month, I've given a commitment that I'll do another 4 billion. What that will now do is that within a month, of so of your retirement, you should be able to get your check. No other part of we believe in the country has anything close to that. So we have brought succor to people that have worked, for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years in the service of Lagos State to ensure that they will earn, their pensions, as at when due, and they can do whatever they want, with their resources. That's on our public sector, the local government, the health sector, the teaching service is across board. I write and ensure that nobody is left behind. Now going to our public, to our citizens, we started something last year from August, where we had a 50% reduction on all public transportation, right? It was reduced, and stopped towards the end of the year when, things resumed back, But now I think transport cost is also a major pain that our citizens have. So almost immediately from this weekend, we're throwing back a 25% reduction on all public transportation. But we're working with the various unions to ensure that we also can support them. But on our BRT, on our trains, on our ferry services, you are going to begin to enjoy that almost immediately from this weekend. I've given instructions, and so they are working on the logistics for that. On the food palliatives, which is one of the ways in which we also can intervene, right? As we speak, I'm expecting over 100 trailers of rice coming, up north, and I will explain what is happening to our own, meal in a short while, And so we're doing this at 3 levels. We're doing a food purchase and redistribution that will cover about 300,000 households, not just individual households, that will have 10 kg rice, 5 kg gari, 5 kg beans, and have other small things like tomato and rest of it in a combo bag, right? The procurement of that started. It will just be a logistics of how to package and distribution that will follow. And I will explain to you in the course of this conversation who are the people that will be supervising and superintending all of that to ensure that the real set of people that want these things to get to, we'll get there. That's one level, one layer of direct procurement of rice, stable rice, beans, gari, and some small, pepper and tomato in one bulk. The next level will be utilizing our experience during COVID. We're going to be opening, what we call Sunday markets in about 42 markets in Lagos. Sunday market. What you will see in those markets, is the same sort of like, stable, food item. But this time, you'll be buying, but you'll be buying at a reduced cost. We're going to cap what you can buy at not more than 25,000, and we'll be giving you a 25% rebate immediately there. So we have started that at our middle market in Ijoro, which you've all seen, but we're taking it to 42 identified markets in Lagos. We're not giving you the opportunity to come and want to buy worth of 100,000. That means you are Ruben, you have the capacity. But somebody that wants to buy 10,000, 15,000, which are the people that want to take out of the poverty line, we will give you a discount, an immediate discount of about 25. You will get that rebate. And you are not just buying one item, you are buying, a combination of, staples, and you will get a relief immediately. So that Sunday market will happen for the next 4 or 5 Sundays, and we'll continue to review. So we will make all the logistics available, all the food items will be at this. We're working with the local government, with the leaders of the market. We'll identify and we'll publish, all these things. That's the second level. The third level will be that we are now going to do what we call, the soup bowl, the soup kitchen. We did it also during COVID. We want to identify mama puts, caterers that are in your loop, and we want to be able to feed between 1,000 and 1,500 in every local government per day, at the first instance for the next, 30 to 60 days. So let's watch out the logistics. We are identifying, the caterers already. Funds will be sent to them, and they will have vouchers so that just people just walk in, and just give them something, to eat, one a day, and let's just continue, on that. The whole idea around this is that one of the verticals will reach you in one form or the other. So that's regarding food. No, I've not finished. On the health sector, right? We also realize that. So some people's their problem is not the gari or the rice. There's some problem. I told you a woman gave birth on the road yesterday. Why should that, be a case? Because it could be pressure, right? So immediately, where all our 31 general hospitals will be given free child delivery, either during normal birth or cesarean birth, we will take up the cost so that we reduce the pressure, on our people almost immediately. We are also working with them to reduce the cost of some particular types of drugs, hypertension, diabetes, and we can give a rebate at our hospitals. We can give a rebate. So we don't want that to be thrown out, So we're planning to give, to work out with the hospital and give, a rebate on that. That's number 2. Number 3 is that our 6 health districts, we have 6, we are the only ones that have that in the country, by the way. We have 6 health districts, which are headed by permanent secretary. Over the next 3 months, they will be doing what we call the health mission, twice a week. On an health mission, they'll put up the canopy, doctors will be there, nurses will be there. People will just come in, about 1,000 people, 2,000 people will come and get an health check. Maybe you're diabetic, you're hypertensive, they check your blood pressure, and they will give you medicines, based on what it is that they realize, is wrong with them. And maybe some eye, testing. I'll check if we have, enough of that to go around. So all that will also go around concurrently, in the health sector. So you will see that in any form, if the food or the transport, if the hospital doesn't touch you, one thing will touch you. We looked at education as well. Out of school children, what are some of the challenges? They said they asked parents to show evidence of a tax payment of about 8,000. Let's remove that. Let's get parents to bring their pupils back to school without necessarily needing that burden. That's on the education sector. To enter, and to ensure that they can bring, their kids, back to school. So you can see that we're cutting the interventions, across various sectors. We're cutting intervention in health, in education, in transportation, in agriculture. So we believe that in one form or the other, you will have succor. You will have something that you can take back, and you see that this government is working with you. To answer the question around the rice mill, so the challenge that we have is that is the biggest mill in the country. We're challenged by feedstock, it's paddy. We have two aggregators, Apex, and Lagos Commodity Exchange that we've given commitment to look for paddy for us. One of the things that has happened is that paddy is not easily growable in the southern part of the country. We have farmland in Ogun State. We have farmland in Osun State. We have the small ones in Lagos. But it cannot meet up with the size and the capacity of the mill, right? And one of the things that we realized that, even up north, there are a few issues around paddy. So for our mill, we're going to be having a conversation with the Minister for Transport and with the federal government. If they can permit us, to do a one-off, importation of paddy, the mill that we have there can take 2 vessels. They have enough service that will take 2 vessels of paddy. And that can take us for 8 months to 9 months production of close to 2 million bags of 50 kg. So if we have that exemption, so that we can use that, to encourage the rice farmers, to still, because what we hear is the challenges of people not going back to the market, not going back to their farms on time, and so we cannot get, enough. In fact, to say to you, sir, some of the parties that we're expecting from the north, we even have to write to some of my colleague governors for them to give us passage to be able to drive down this paddy. Because the conversation is like some are being smuggled out or something. We don't want to listen to that. But it's a long journey. 800 kilometers, 1,000 to drive down, and because we're waiting. It's not a mill where you can kickstart, stop. If you're going to run in that ground. So we need to have, the silos there are 16 massive silos of almost 32,000 metric tons. 2 vessels of paddy can fill up that place. And we will be able, to, on a very large scale, be able to populate, the citizens, with stable, food like rice. So we will be pursuing that opportunity, with the federal government, right? And I'm also using it, I'm speaking publicly. If there's any paddy aggregator, any paddy rice that they know that they can send us, that we're willing to buy. Our funds are out there, to buy this paddy. So in a medium to short term, these are some of our solutions at ensuring that we can, in all of the verticals, we can touch, our citizens in one form or the other. But the question is the how. To make it a lot more very transparent and be people-driven, right? We have used a mechanism before, which is we had all the trade unions, members, we had the religious leaders, members, we have the CDC, CDA as members of the monitoring and the distribution, channel. But immediately today, I'm also setting up another economic advisory team. Well, I don't want to use economic, but like an advisory team that is bipartisan. I've identified, the secretary of PDP, for example. I've identified the former chairman of Labour Party that is in the House of Rep, for example. I've identified Mr. Dumak as an example of civil society. The chairman of the Guilds of Editors will join us. The chairman of NLC will join us. The local government chairman will join us. The chair of the local government will join us. A representative from the House of Assembly will join us. One religious leader, and a Christian, Muslim, and deputy and I will form the team. And economists like Fagbero Byron, who is also a public commentary, a lady who is very sensitive to consumer price protection, Aya and Shola Kosoko. That's all. So that let's let all of these people advise us, rethink all of these things that I've said. Tell us that this will not be enduring. Think through this, right? But also ensure that the distribution is completely not people that knows the governor or knows the deputy governor, so that we can, be transparent, with our intentions, of helping Lagosians out. And it's also an opportunity for me to advise, other sectors. Like I said, government is just one arm. Everybody knows that government is an enabler. We're not the real, employer of. So MSMEs, let's be creative. If you don't need to have all your tailors come the same day, be very creative. Give them a flexible work hours. The private sector comes, right? It's a time where we need to, as stakeholders in this country, we need to reduce the effect of profitability and keep life alive, right? It's not all about shareholder value again and ensuring that it is profit for our stakeholders. No. How about the citizens that have been very committed, purchasers of your goods or consumers of your product? At what point in time can we all, just slow down and ensure that we can give back? We did it during COVID. As a city, as a state, we all came out to support ourselves. This is also a clarion call. And what is happening is not peculiar, to Nigeria alone. It's everywhere, and every country has to, think through, come inside, and think of a local solution. And that's why I'm using this opportunity to call all my friends in the private sector. Let's think of how to support them. This morning, I called one of them again. I said, I need about 100,000 boxes, spaghetti, Indomie, and the rest of. Just give me a combo, 100,000, not for sale. And these are some of the things that we're going to be, So the logistics of that, we'll see it in the next couple of days. So do something like that. Look at how you need to help people to keep that your factory safe, to keep that your office safe. Because it's only when the city, is peacefully safe that, we can now begin to talk about profitability and ensuring that we have, shareholder value and the rest of it. What we're going through, is a time for all of us to see who can play what, and let's, be able to hold each other and know that there are no difficult times that stays forever. Even spiritually, there are times of famine, right? So it's that time in which we need to just pull back, weather the storm, and then believe that, things will turn around. No situation stays forever, but it's the ability to weather the storm during those difficult times that truly, really defines, mankind and humanity.
Okay, Mr. Governor, during your first term in office, you launched the 5-year agricultural plan to end in 2025. Can you do an appraisal of that plan? And did that plan actually prepare you for the situation of things right now?
Thank you very much, Shola. So there's something that we've done that we're indeed grateful that we're able to take those opportunities. And you're right with our plan. In that plan, one of the things that we said, I wanted to provide food security for Lagosians. We realized that we're a commercial city. We're not in an agrarian city. We don't have the land. We don't have the, right? So we're building, currently as we speak, the largest logistics hub in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. The largest logistics hub in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. And we've gone about 65% of the construction. Outside of this meeting, I will show you pictures of where this construction is. All the verticals are out already. All the massive warehouses, that we're building there, they have all been roofed. What are we planning to do? We're planning to build a storage facility, cold, dry facility that can help push, when we have things that push produce and product to our citizens, using that up as a receiver, of large produce. So we're going to be having even trading, facilities there. This is the hub that will be doing things like the aggregator. ensure that all of the yam people that are coming from Benue, all of the tomato they can have off-take from them. They can know that once they're coming, there's somebody that will write the check. And that facility will be able to, the ones that will not go to the market because of perishability, and storage, will have the opportunity to stay in that facility. And we're happy that we took that decision 2 years ago. The facility will be ready, should be completed before the end of this year. And it's something that we're truly grateful for, that we took that decision. Out of that facility is to now dovetail into what we call the middle market. The middle market, one of it is what you saw or you are seeing at Iduro, which is where you can see exchange of purchases. As we speak, we're building 4 concurrently. We're building as we speak, which will also be ready before the end of the year. On that 4, we're identifying 7 other locations that we also can build. It's still part of the plan. So we're building in Ajah, we're building in Abule-Egba, we're building in Agege, and I think maybe another one in Kurudu. So 4 concurrently to be able to, recreate what we're seeing, in Iduro, and identify locations for additional 7. The last vertical on that is now we now begin to build corner stores, at various locations. Those are smaller, so that we can see the entire value chain, of food produce being available. You'll see fresh tomatoes, you'll see, fresh, pepper being, distributable in a very clean, hygienic environment, for our citizens. That's one. Secondly, right, on the meat value chain, I think the total countrywide consumption is under 4 million heads of cattle, per year, about 3.7. Lagos in itself consumes about half of that. We consume about 1.8 to 2 million heads of annually. So we need to be able to do G2G with some of our, northern states, and if time permits, even, other countries up north, and see how these things the fatting can be grown, and ensure that there are off-takes in Lagos. In the logistics stuff that I'm talking about, those are some of the things that you see in the cold storage, right? And so we're also doing a small heads, so that we can hold them here, and sort of like also fasting them for another 2-3 months. We have all of that in Igudu, and we're putting up small ranches that once they come in, you have an overflow of 20,000, 30,000, we can retain them there. So the plan is for us to be able to fairly determine and see that we can plan for food security of Lagosians, right? On the final part of that master plan is also to encourage our citizens. There's what we call, urban farming, right? Ruben, at the small courtyard in your house, put tomato, put pepper. It doesn't take a lot. At the end of this session, I will take you around this steakhouse. We have fish pond. Yeah, we rear chicken that produces egg. Yeah, we attempted scenery to grow snails. That didn't survive. First it couldn't survive it because of the ants that came down to. We have small ones that grow fertile. It doesn't meet the entire need, but is an attempt to say that, even in your urban space, you can do a little thing. So it's really around, an end-to-end thought, at ensuring that let us eat what we grow, let us grow what we eat, and just take up this challenge. It's a clearing call for all of us. Take up this challenge and let's all of our, spaces that we have in our houses, do something. It doesn't take, a whole lot, and it just reduces the pressure, of you needing to run to a market or you needing, to look outside, and see solutions. So that's our plan, and we believe we're on the track. By end of next year, we'll review it. All of these markets that I talked about will have been, up and running already, and we'll see what are the additional things that we need to add in or take away from it?
I've listened to the various interventions across various areas that you have talked about. But there is a certain contradiction that I think maybe you help explain to our people, which is about your government's program with regard to urban regeneration or urban renewal. Some people say, in terms of their reaction, that those programs that they have seen look like an assault, one, against the poor. All this clearing of under bridges, all this closure of business places, at a time when inflation is over 30%. And then the demolition of houses and some structures that some people say will seem to be targeted against non-indigenous. So these two issues. Because some will say, yes, these interventions, but,
Thank you very much, Ruben. Just to also re-emphasize, the building that collapsed this morning, right, I'm sure it's not an indigenous issue. A real building actually collapsed. Thankfully, there are no fatality. But if people were there, that's the end of it. No stories. A building actually collapsed this morning. So we're not being emotional. We're being factual. A fire incident actually occurred 3 weeks ago. It's an 18-story building that changed the livelihood of a lot of people because of the carelessness of some people. It has nothing to do with an ethnicity. It has to do with we ensuring that, one, we can put off the fire in respect of who or where you come from, have the capacity to respond to that call when it happens, but more importantly, create a space where it doesn't repeat itself again. So after it happened in Lagos Island, and my last part people went to now clear the entire store on that right of way to ensure that any tall building in event, because that's why I talk, you don't know when these things are going to happen. So you don't wait and phone and say, when this happens? No. Clearing those roads now, we're not asking who owns this shop, where are you from, which village did you emerge from. You have contravened our planning rule. You have obstructed, government from doing their work. So we have to reverse back to the original plan that we gave you to build. That has no measure of sympathy or emotion at all. It is part of what is done globally to rate livability standards of cities, reliability, sustainability of cities. By the way, Ruben, they made us 18th position globally early this year by Time Out that Lagos is one of the preferred cities to stay in the world. That doesn't happen by we sitting back and not doing the right thing. The right thing to be done, right, are difficult things sometimes. They are the things that will appear as if it's not very popular, but it's to keep, the city safe for all of us. The greatest good is for the greatest number. It is not about the face of who the person is, but it's about ensuring that we live. Because rule of law is one thing that we cannot, compromise anyhow. When people, I mentioned it when you said to me that I should rate my 4 years. I told you that people were walking on river. They say, come and see Sanwo-Olu, this is River Lekki, we're on boat. Those are the things that happen. People deliberately build on the right of way for drainage canal. Lagos is below the sea level. So those waters have to go. They are like flash. They have to go, come back from and go back again. That was all we did. Let me tell you, there are some officers of government, officers of this government, that their houses went down. Their houses, they wrote that there's nothing, it has to go. We are not taking your house. If it's only one room that we need to take, we're not out to take the entire 4-bedroom. If it's only one room that contravenes, we'll leave the remaining 3 rooms. You can reconstruct and come back to your 3 rooms. But the ones that is on our line, we will take it and we don't have, because we just need to be able to rescue the city. If not, not only will we be doing this country a disservice, this is the melting pot of our country. It controls 65% of international traffic. International traffic. So we need to continue to ensure that we have that, not just in name, in our response, in our ability to keep the city, We went around clearing, saw what we took away from Ijora, Obalende, and rest of it. We've done a massive rail infrastructure. Underneath that rail, you see people on government spaces, and these are the kind of things that we see with traffic robbery. Some of them, come up and rob people on the coverage. Ruben, last year, under the bridge of Apongbo, there was a fire incident. It shut down that bridge for 9 months. We cannot, no government will fold their arms and let that kind of a thing happen. For 9 months, killed economic activity and the rest of it. So for us to go back and clear it, is for us to do it over and over and again, and for people to know that under the bridges, these are we cannot even have money to build those infrastructures again. We don't. So we have to protect what we have to ensure that these buildings can last 100 years, 120 years. So we will not, in fact, we've just started, but what I can assure you is that nobody will unwillingly be attacked by virtue of race, gender, color, ethnicity. That I can put on the table and say that, please, if you know of any, I will be the first that first will apologize in the event of such thing happen, but we will make amends, immediately. We will never allow things like that to determine who we are and how we govern the space. But it is really for all of us to understand that we're all cohabiting here, and we need to jointly respect, the rules, of our cohabitation. That's all we're about, and that's what we're trying to do.
So Mr. Governor, this measure that sounds reactive, maybe is speaking to systemic failure. And I mean, these buildings are already up. It's either somebody in the system is complicit of not doing their job, or there's clear inefficiency. So I would like you to speak to that particular one, so that it's not a question of the building going up and it comes down. It shouldn't come up in the first place. Then the second part is the issue of arbitrary increase in rent in Lagos State. I also like you to speak to that, because sometimes it goes off the roof. It looks like we're building an elitist society.
Well, thank you very much. And I will be the first to agree, even publicly, that you are right with that observation. Some could be just complete, fault on our part, that we did not, do the needful on time to ensure that those buildings did not even come up, in the first instance. So we take responsibility, but the fact that we're inefficient doesn't also make it right. So we'll come back and correct what what has happened? There was a time in which the Lekki corridor, right, was the fastest real estate development in the whole world. Then it came down to be in Africa. It was growing at a rate in which we have to start raising to catch up with it. And it is the measure of what people perceive as prosperity. It's a measure of what people think as the future of what they want. And you cannot stop, human migration. There's no border post in Ojota to stop anybody from coming in. So we as a city needed to respond to that by increasing the number of town planners that we have to employ, increase the number of estate valuers that we have to employ, ensuring that we train them well enough to be able to. Let me tell you, in Lagos, we have 52 building control agencies. Each local governor, there's nobody that can have anything like that. 52 town planning offices. Sorry, 57. In each of the local government, 57 town planning, building control, everything has to be. It's not centrally controlled. They have to all be dimensioned right down there. So what you see is fine. There could be, failure of government, and I'm taking responsibility in terms of being efficiently, proactive, to be able to deal with some of those nuisances. And that's why I also explained in some other way where I said we have to build redundancy. In emergencies, for example, we have to recruit fire servicemen, buy fire trucks, and just keep and fuel them and wait for something to happen. That's redundancy. But on this other side, we have to also scale up our staff, and our engagement to be able to meet with those realities. And the point around, fees and rates in Lagos and charges, as against rents, so we'll have a law that we've set up to protect the citizens, which says that, you know, house owners and landlords should not ask for more than a year's rent. Should not ask for more than a year's rent. Do people now obey and, you know, do that 100%? My answer will be no. But what are we doing? There are numbers that we've set up. We have an agency that we've set up. It's called La Serrera, Lagos State Real Estate Agency. We set up that agency about 3 years ago to respond to something like this. That if you know people that are asking for you to come and pay 3 years, report them to us. We will take it up for you and see how we reduce that burden for you. The other part of it are against the increment. You know, we also cannot play in a demand and supply, you know, and force. The only other thing we can do is how well can we also provide, you know, intervention houses in and rest. And we're doing our best. This government has commissioned about 19 housing projects, 19 in different parts of the state, you know, and there's so many of them that we've done. So we'll continue to do that, you know, but we cannot catch up with what they're doing in the private sector. You know, 2 days ago, and just a small digression, somebody was asking me that, why do people collect, you know, rent in foreign currency? And I said, maybe it's a conversation that I need to have here, and we need to stop this. Why? Given the pressure of the currency that we're talking about, why? And there's a CBN rule that says that you cannot charge fees, you know, or rent in foreign currency. Why should we have, you know, landlords asking their tenants to pay in foreign currency for a house that is built in Lagos, that you are using Lagos road, you are breathing Lagos air, for them to pay in foreign currency? I think it's absurd, and those are some of the challenges that we need to eradicate, remove, so that somebody that needs to go and pay 25, it doesn't begin to run helter-skelter just to pay, you know, whatever is your rate, pay it in Naira. And I think those are some of the things that we need to stop. Stop this dollarization of every single thing that we have in our economy. It has to stop. And it's only when we do this that we can reduce all of these things around dollars. Everything is about dollars. Why? Egypt just made a pronouncement two weeks ago and said, no, we're not going to be having our mix of exchange in dollars. We will use our local currency. We need to also be able to, I still spoke to YC yesterday. I mean, Mr. Kadus is my mom. I said we need to be able to think out of the box. My question is, all these Chinese companies, all these Indian companies, what stops us from exchanging their transactions with them in their country in yuan? If you go to Dubai, no matter who you are, you cannot pay a foreign currency in any of the services. It has to be dirhams. Why can't we do the same? The Indians, why can't we pay them rupees? So I might not have all the answers, but it's really for, you know, our monetary policy to look and let's see. We cannot continue to do the same thing, and so let us even start with that. You're an Indian company, you're a Chinese company. These things, it's a produce from India we're expecting. It's an item from China. Let's pay your currency. So it reduces the pressure that everything and anything has to be in one currency. People are paying school fees in Britain, it's dollars. So maybe when all of this changes in our head, then we can change, you know, we can change, you know, our perception, and we can reduce these things, and all of this nonsense can stop. And I think it's important for us to make the point that we sometimes are our greatest enemy. Government, yes, I'm not going to absolve myself, I mean, and at the leadership level, of some of the things that I've not worked with. And government needs to also be able to transparently communicate. Let's say it and let's people understand what the challenges we have, what the issues are, so that not empathy, but they can say to you, ask for the job, go do it, but at least communicate.
Let me take you back to a little bit to Jeff's question. Do you honestly think that the Lagos tenancy law can be faithfully enforced? Do you think it's practical for us to insist and ensure that no landlord contravenes the law? For us to insist that the landlord cannot take more than 1 year's rent? Do you honestly think that's one? Then, as an addendum, you have the Lagos homes.
Yes.
What we hear is not me saying it, sir. What we hear is that the acquisition module is no longer transparent. And I want to ask you, would you consider going back to what it used to be, like raffle draw and the rest of this? Yes.
Well, thank you, Jide. I think the first question, the way that our federating structure is set, it will be difficult to 100% comply. And what do I mean? So we set up a law. The beauty of any law is to ensure that there are consequences and you can enforce that law fully. There are consequences and you can enforce it. So if you don't have institutions or verticals or ability to enforce those laws fully, then you begin to see people not obeying the law fully. And that's why the conversation will tilt around requests for state police, for example. Right? If that, which I hear that we're considering very seriously, if that comes to bear, and I have a city like this, and I know that for me to be able to have a city that I'll be proud of, I need to have 50,000 policemen in different forms, being able to go and ensure that our laws are fully implemented in whatever form, right? Then it becomes a priority for me to deliver on that basis, right? But once I don't have the instrument or the ability to enforce some of these things, then it becomes, a lot of challenge, So the answer to it is that's why all of the things around ensuring that we have, the ability as subnationals to be able to take this thing to a logical conclusion in terms of policing, in terms of enforcement, it will stay. Because the moment somebody knows that they can't even come until, they will not even show up, then, there's always a likelihood that they will get out. But once you make a few people escape and examples and the rest, then everybody will sit up and sit right, and ensure that the right thing is done. So the answer is we could get there. We could get there if all of these things, change in the course of time. Because I know that, one of the greatest things that help development, in nation is rule of law. I'm not a lawyer, but I know too well that once people can respect and obey and understand that there are consequences for action, then people will think twice. Why do you think that, in big nations and first countries that we all, talk about and look forward to? It's because, it's almost, certain that if you flout a law or something, there's a high consequence that you get picked up and you will come after it. Then you will correct yourself. So on the second part around, the Lagos own, I have also heard, and I think it's a shame because I was in a government when we set up, all of these ideas, and I will take it up, You know, I will not come here and say that, you know, it's all 100% and that, no, it has not been, you know, a big challenge. You know, and these are some of the problems, you know, of our system, that to ensure that once policies are working and are working, you don't need to change it. You don't have to begin to want to think out with it. You know, I know that we usually do like a transparent, you know, I mean, you meet some criteria, then there's a transparent, you know, lottery process that throws you up. So the general manager maybe needs another job, you know, because it's also a call, you know, to reflect, you know, but we'll take it up. And thank you for those observations. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Governor, permit me, because they took you through that route, so I would like to just find out what's your take on state police?
Well, I mean, like I said, I'm an advocate for it. I believe we needed it like yesterday. And so the interesting thing there is we have what we call the neighborhood watch. Ruben we were together at the Security Trust Fund, you know, board, and we both served, you know, diligently, and I imagine honorably on that board. Dr. Abati, thank you very much for your service at that time. But you know, that neighborhood is still functional, and we're happy. About 6,000 of them. The good news is that I've given approval for us to recruit additional 4,000, 4,000 to 5,000 actually. I've given them approval to employ, and this is job for our youth, this is job for our able-bodied men, and so out of that number, we'll give some to CBD, we'll give some to KAI, but a significant chunk of it will be in our neighborhood. And what that means for me is that if they give approval for state police today, I have 10,000 men that I can further train and get them ready, you know. And these are people that know the entire community. They are people that knows, you know, every nook and cranny. In fact, at some of our state security meetings, you know, they give us intel. They give us all of the black spots, all of the things that are happening. They provide those intelligence for us. But it's just that they don't have, you know, the constitutional to act. But they can give us, you know, what is happening in all communities and regular police acting. So you can imagine if that is now turned around to be a proper law enforcement, you know, with all of the apparatus of state organ, they will hit the ground running. And we can, on our own, have a plan to double that number, you know, and to take it to a number that will make policing effective and efficient for a big city, you know, of our size. So yes, I'm struggling for it, and I'm waiting for it.
Well, Governor, at some point in the course of this conversation, we'll take one or two questions from some of our colleagues who are in the studio with us, who may have one or two things to ask. But before then, I'd like to ask you this. You talked about infrastructure, and I want to focus on transportation, which is the number one item on the team's agenda. Now, we've heard about the blue line, we've heard about the red line, so a lot of activity with regard to rail lines, you know, developing better transportation. And then recently you talked about the Fourth Mainland Bridge, which, you know, some people are not sure you will be able to complete within the remaining period in this second term. But a major concern is the condition of the inner roads in Lagos State. When you go to places like Ujuju, Aboru, even in Ogba, you know, Abule Egba, you live in Isheri? Okay. Or Isheri, as he has mentioned. You know, those inner roads are not in good shape. Okay, in Ogba. Yes. So why are the inner roads neglected?
Well, thank you, Ruben. And first, to go to the transportation infrastructure that you talked about, I'm happy we've been able to advance, you know, a lot more resource in that area. And if I might use this opportunity to say again, this government is excited that we will be commissioning, the Red Line rail infrastructure. In fact, exactly a week today, on the 29th of February, by Mr. President himself. He has graciously agreed to honor us with his presence. And the reasons are not too far-fetched. Lamata, which is the arm of the Lagos State that started it about 20 years ago, coincidentally and fortuitously, Mr. President was the governor in the state that set up Lamata. So, in a way, this is his baby that has lived to an age that he also needs to be proud of. So the Red Line will be the rail corridor that we, this government, developed all of the stations by ourselves, within this 4.5 years that where it's a little celebration, but we'll take glasses for that to turn my chest for that. So it moves all the way from Agbado in Ogun State, through Iju, through Agege, through Ikeja, through Oshodi, through Mushin, Yaba, and all the way to Ebute-Metta, And you've seen that in that infrastructure, there are several overpasses that have also built. We've built 6 bridges concurrently, in Lagos while we're developing this infrastructure. The phase 2 of the Red Line, because what you see in rail infrastructure is it must connect themselves. So the phase 2 of the Red Line will take off from Ebute-Metta and we'll do an elevation and go and meet the Blue Line at the National Theatre. So we've done the record, we've done the design for it. It was meant to come to Marina before, but the cost and the level of demolition that would happen would be too much. So creatively, we now took it to National Art Theatre, where you can now hop on and hop off. You can actually transit, come down from the Red Line, join the Blue Line, and you can go either towards, Mile 2 or come to Marina, and vice versa. You also, if you're from Marina, you can get to Ebute-Metta, come down, join the Red Line, and you're on your way to Agege and the rest of it. So that connects, a complete loop, of a rail infrastructure. Rail everywhere in the world does not just start and end on its own. It must connect with some other rail, activity. So that we're excited and we'll do it. But after the commissioning, we still have to ensure that we clear all the right of way. We work with NRC because some NRC also use the tracks for the Lagos-Ibadan, movement, and we synergize on all of our on what we call, the rail infrastructure movement. There's a terminology that I've forgotten now. So that will happen, and we believe it will immediately solve, a lot of traffic and transportation challenges because it carries more passengers even than the Blue, and the train, when you see it, is longer, than the Blue Line. They've got about 8 to 9, cars, all put together, and I must also, use this opportunity to also thank the President. They're also supporting us on procurement of additional rolling stock for the Blue Line and for the Red Line. So Lagos should expect a lot more investment in the rail, on these 2 lines, whilst we're developing additional, investment on the other 4 lines. We're not stopping at that. So, we've demonstrated our capacity and our willingness, so we're looking at other people to also help us with other development. But to the second question, around inner roads, it's something that we are taking up frontally. The challenge is that, Lagos requires, year on year, budgetary provision of, in Naira times, about, almost 5 trillion if we do today, year on road infrastructure alone. That is even more than the entire budget for us to be able to. And Lagos, in the last 10 years, we've built and laid over 10,000 kilometers of road. So those are a big number, but because it's a city, not just a town, not just, it's a city state. So every part of Lagos needs that road infrastructure. If you go to other states, so when you do in one state, at least you drive 40 meters, you do. But here, everything, all the 50 are all interconnected and everyone needs to be developed. We're breathing up with it. We're working with the local government. In fact, right now, they've completed a plan to do 114 roads, concurrently, all the local government. And on that, we are also supporting with another 50 to 60. So in all, we should have about 180, roads working concurrently. That also will bring a bit of discomfort, because once we're also doing on these roads, you see that there will be closure, there will be, movements that will be impaired. So we need to plan all of these things in a way, in a manner that the country does not also reduce, the economic, viability of us. So it's hydra-headed. We are aware of it. We see these things, we know that there are things that has to happen, and also because, to also explain, the water table that we have, in our state is also very funny. We're not the state that is blessed with hard land. So very quickly, our roads also can fail, because of the water table that we have. So that's why we need to spend a lot more, preserving those roads. The new ones that we're doing, they are heavy concrete roads. On the Lagos, Epe, so there are 4 or 5, big concretes there, so that we don't need to come back for another 50 years, But some of these ones, because of the size of bitumen that you put there, by the time it mixes with water and the rest of it, water and bitumen they are not friends. It disturbs and the thing. And also, let's put, the environmental issues to it, drainages and the rest of it, our behavior sometimes. We just, disband styrofoam. Some people are even still attacking us when you can see that it blocks a lot of the drainages. So once the drainages are blocked, water flows on the road that has been done. With bitumen, you start seeing the cracks. You start seeing the cracks, in no time, potholes begin to appear. So it's a complete circle of way of life, discipline of our people, government action or inaction quickly, and all of us just taking ownership, and being ensured that, once these things are done, these are public assets that we need to protect. These are public assets that we need to know that they've used public goods to do this. And we all just must, hand up and show, our ability to protect them.
Well, thank you, Mr. Governor. At this point, let's go to our in-studio guests. If we can have 1 or 2 persons, but when those persons join us, we would expect that there will be no commentaries. The questions will be short, straight to the point. But before then, Geoffrey?
Okay, I just wanted to build on some of the things that you said. It feels like the diagnostics is understood by the government. But what happens to people, because I think I was driving through Ikorodu Road, and it was quite embarrassing. Your car is flooded all the time. So the people that are constantly buffeted by these incidents every other year, is there something government is doing to actively help, at least some level of succor, for places where they feel, in their own perspective, that something has to be done? I'm not talking about necessarily all the coastal area that had that proximity to the water body. I mean, upland in Lagos, because it's a lot. You talked about Lekki and...
To be truthful with you, there'll be rain every year. The amount of rain that will come, given all of the climate issues that we know, that we see, will be a lot. So the question is, how proactive are we? There's no amount of proactiveness that can stop the rain from coming. And I've explained to you that also in our demography, and in the construct of how Lagos is, right? 1, we're below the sea level. 2, and this is nature, that we cannot do anything. So those fundamentals are still there that we really cannot do so much about. But I will take it on as additional responsibility of government to ensure that we continue to communicate, and engage ourselves. So there is no part of Lagos that is left. There's no part of it. It's only thing that can happen is that those drainages We have 17 System 1 drainage channels. 17. Some of them are as long as 27 kilometers, 32 kilometers, 14 kilometers. That must traverse, different parts of the city. And every year we have to deseal them. We have to, cut out stuff in it. So it's a continuous exercise. But like I said, we'll continue to build more because the city also grows more. Ikorodu that you mentioned, Ikorodu is developing at a rate that is like, what's going on, right? And so we have to keep going back there. It's one of the places that I'm interested to see that how can we help in their development. The fourth mainland bridge that Dr. Abadi asked, so that I pretend as if I did not hear, because it's eventually coming behind Ikorodu. So this is the plan, and I'll be very, very, very honest and transparent with what we have. So we started the process to say that we wanted to do a PPP model, meaning that we use private funding, we use government funding, and we'll be able to do it. Because, see, this is the first time a subnational will be taking over, construction of that size or of that magnitude, just because we want to, change the face, of public transportation in our city. The Eko Bridge is central government, Kata Bridge is central government, Third Mainland Bridge. Third Mainland Bridge did phase 1, did phase 2. They had to calm down again to do phase 2, federal government. But we said that it's the audacity of belief that wants to do the fourth mainland. So we started a long process. That process has taken over 3 years. There's an extensive study about battery, about data metric, and all of the big grammars, right? And we have preferred bidders that wanted to work. But what we've seen in the last 2 years, the dynamics of funding has changed globally, right? The kind of things they're asking of us are things that we know we cannot give of them. One, they're asking us to go and get a sovereign guarantee, meaning that we need to go and sit with the federal government, meaning that the federal government needs to go to the National Assembly. So technically what it means is that federal government will be guaranteeing that, and they will not do it. We know that because it's not in their bid, it's not. So there's no point deceiving ourselves that is going to happen. Because by the time they will say, where is the budget for it? It's not in our budget. Why would they? Because once they do it for you, why can't other 35 also states turn up and say that, come and give us? It doesn't work like that. And so we were quick to realize that with our fund and say, you know what, it's not going to work. By the way, we also don't even want this dollar funding. We want it local. Whatever it is, it's a local transaction, it's a local bridge, right? And we have to fund it locally. So on our own, what we've done is we're working with them and we're working back. So we've done extensive redesigning, creative redesigning. So there's some places where you probably want to do 8 lanes, let's do 4. There's some places where you want to do 3 levels of bridges, let's do 1. But it doesn't take away the fact that first mainland bridge we will do. I gave a commitment early this year, right? And I said we're going to ground break, by end of April. I'm still committing to that we will ground break before end of April 2024. Our plan is to phase the development, right, into 3 phases. It's a total of about 37 kilometers. At the end of the day, it will pass close to your station in Channel, and it will bust out on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. That is the entire, it's like an M25, right? But we're going to take, it doses and take water. But the bridge component, by the grace of God, we will do it. The water component, rather, the water component that will crosses, the lagoon onto Ikorodu, we are going to do it. And so that's your fourth mainland bridge, alignment for you.
Mr. Governor, so that we get the input of the studio audience, so I will read all the questions so you can respond to them at once. Just 3 questions, by the way. If you forget any, I will remind you. This is no name on this one, but it says the last administration promised to give student loans. What are you doing about that? The second, this is from Temitope from Latif Jakonde Leadership Academy. Says, what is Lagos doing to improve access to electricity? And then this is from Dr. Kebe Alabi Gerber, that's the Nigerian Guild of Editors, says, how is your administration what's your administration doing to improve accountability at the local government level? So those are the three questions.
Thank you. Well, this is a very, but I mean, so around student loan, I think what we promised is student bursary, right? And we're doing it. In fact, we're doing it even outside of the states. Godfrey, I'm sure you know that this government, right, have moved from one state university to 3 state universities in the span of 3 years. So we have 3 state universities, meaning that we even are investing more in tertiary education than we've ever done, right? I mean, and we're happy because we've seen the future, in that space. So what we've done is every of a student in all of these tertiary universities that are, of course, is indigenship gets, a bursary award, and that we have not failed. In fact, part of the palliative that they also not mentioned is that we actually want to bring the bursary payment for this year. I want to bring it forward. Want to bring it, closer now, so that they also have something, to work with, as students in our tertiary institution. So it's not a loan; it's a bursary that we're given, and we're still continue, to give the bursary. And I think on education, I can just mention that we're not just stopping at these 3. Part of the challenge that we saw in our health sector is the lack of number of, professional qualified, health practitioners, right, in Lagos. Of course, we still recruit the largest number of doctors, nurses, compared to any part of the country. But we're working with the council, with the medical council, to see, and NUC, to see if they can give us an approval for a medical university for a University of Medical Sciences, a University of Medical Sciences, and it's part of our vision. Let's leave this place better than we've met it. We all talk about nurses, moving. Can't we scale up the number of nurses, that we train? Can we scale up the number of doctors, that we train? And the only way to do that is we believe we can also open, a medical sciences university, that we believe will also help, to meet, and to fill the gap, in that sector. So that's by the way. I think the second question was around electricity from Latif Jakonde, Leadership Academy. For my audience, yes, Latif Jakonde Leadership Academy is another, intervention of this government to be able to train a group of fellows, over a 1-year, training, as we've done in different parts of the world, on leadership. These are young Nigerians that this is the first set, after the demise of our first civilian governor in Lagos State. So there's a class size of about 35 of them or so, all of them under 35, or, all of them have been picked from different parts of the country, and they are going through a 1-year fellowship, in Lagos State, to be able to help them develop, not only political, economic, and leadership skills, and part of their training will also even include, study tours abroad, just to see how it's done. And so they are currently working in different agencies and government offices right now, and some also will work outside. So his question is asked, what are we doing with electricity? With the unbundling of the Electricity Act, Lagos sits in a unique position. We have the 2 distribution companies, that are not entangled with any other state, Ikeja Disco and Eko Disco. We're working with them. We realize that we need to collaborate with them for us to have a lasting solution. So we have designed a Lagos State electricity bill that is gone to the House of Assembly now. And that bill fashions out how we want to unbundle and untangle the relationship that currently exists with Ikeja, Disco, and Eko, so that other players can come into it. We can make the atmosphere, investment friendly, and everybody can have a play in it. As compared to other states that some of the discos are tangled together in 3-4 states. Ours is unique. So the two of them understand that Lagos State have a big play to it. People want electricity like yesterday, and they've agreed with us. So we want to play with the relevant regulatory laws. We'll be setting up our own equivalent of NEC, and the rest of it. And so they know that that's what we're doing. So is that law that we're waiting for the House to pass? They're happy with us. They will have input into the law. And once it comes out, part of the things that you see is you see new investments coming, on both generation, and distribution. They still have, capacity to also grow, on their own. So willing buyer, willing seller concept will work, will play better. There will be a lot more investment around gas, and other alternative, sources of energy. We in Lagos State have 6 IPPs that we also have that we're running on our own. So we are even a strong enabler on independent power. So we know what all of the terrains are. But because the environment was not, that new entrant friendly, which has now been removed, we need to localize, the laws, the regulation, so that those investments, can come in. So to my dear Latif Jakonde fellow, the solution to electricity in Lagos, we are fully aware of it. We are working with the discos, and we're on the track to ensure that, it will be. And we're doing a lot also on renewables. A lot of our street lights now, and we're turning them to LEDs so that we can off, them from the grid, and we can reduce the consumption of diesel and the rest of it, from our plate. The last question is around, governance and
the local government
level, at the local government accountability at the local government level. It's interesting because we truly understand and appreciate that there is devolution of power everywhere, right? And we appreciate that the local government administration is also an integral part of our political structure, and we respect them, at that level. For example, now, we don't even interfere in any form with their finances, and it's been said, they've also confirmed that in our 4.5, 5 years, we do not take a pin from them. However, there's a need for us, and they've appreciated, for us to work together. Their autonomy is not in doubt, right? But like you've observed, right, how those funds are also utilized, right? We all need to have a play. There are some approvals that they bring to me, which I look through and I approve. The Auditor General of local government also gets, I also approve the appointment of that. The Local Government Service Commission and the rest of it, I also approve of that. So there's some bit of monitoring and engagement that we do, but we can do a lot better. We can do a lot better, but we respect them being an independent, elected, arm of government, right? We only can engage them and let them see that these are the needs of the people. Let them be able to, show, a lot more efficiency in the utilization of funds. And I believe Lagos are doing it. I believe the local governments in Lagos are actually, they're actually, putting their weights, together, and we're working together. One of the ways in which, like I said, they're training 114 roads, and those are my instructions, and immediately they key in. We want to jointly buy more vehicles for Security Trust Fund. They've keyed into it. I've bought about 150, they are bringing about 114. They key into it. So we do things together in that space, and it works well. in parking authority, we're collaborating. In advertising, we're collaborating. In waste management, we're collaborating. And that's how it's supposed to be, and we continue to encourage them, to work with us because we have the interest of the populace, as the driver point at the end of the day.
Mr. Governor, the questions are coming in a wave. There are 3 questions that I'm going to serve you at this time. One question is, how far have you gone with the 2021 MOU signed between your government and Ogun State government on seamless joint development? That question was by Olalere, Nigeria Express newspaper. There is another question from Mustafa, Kamal Mustafa from Jordan FM, and he's asking, why is there no street light anymore in Lagos? That's a tad exaggerated. But he's saying, when will you start something like Light Up Lagos projects? So the third one came from our people in Uronshoki, and it says, about 7 years ago, the Lagos government embarked on an ambitious plan to transform the Uronshoki waterfront into one of the biggest water transportation terminals, tourism and entertainment hubs in Nigeria. The project has since been abandoned, and the abandoned project has had a tremendous negative impact on the well-being and properties of people living in the Okoko area of Bariga SCDA. The Sandfield waterfront is higher than the existing layout of the area, thereby causing excessive flooding of residential areas whenever it rains. And the mentioned areas greatly affected are Olabode Aluko Street, Francis Olatunji Street, Gerard Ayame Street, and Adebari Street, all in the Uronshoki area.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for those questions. I mean, I think this is really what I want to get to achieve, an opportunity for our citizens to freely be able to, express themselves, engage us, know what we're doing, and we, in similar mind, also tell them what our challenges are, where we are, and how can we jointly, solve our common challenges and issues in Lagos. The first question, I imagine, was around MOU with Ogun State. So in terms of physical implementation, you might not see it, but operationally it's working. And what do I mean? We have that unwritten engagement between ourselves. We've seen collaboration between ourselves and Ogun State in terms of emergency response. We've seen engagement between ourselves in terms of, traffic management, fiscal planning approvals, land acquisition. A lot of the time we move in and out of our both jurisdiction, especially Lagos moving into Ogun State jurisdiction to be able to get permission, solve some problems, and pull back. And a few times too, they've called on us, and we've responded, almost, immediately. But outside of that, His Excellency, my brother Dapo and I also, engage ourselves further on the Ota, Lagos-Ota corridor, for example. We're jointly looking at it, to see how we can, finish up, that development. Is a federal government role, but we're jointly looking at it. Last week, I just got a letter from him. I told you about the red line, that the red line got into Agbado. Agbado is Ogun State. He just sent me another letter to say that how can we further strengthen it and push it to, he mentioned the Papa land. He mentioned the name of the place, but our commissioners of transport have started engagement, in that. I also mentioned, the rights. We have 500 hectares of land in Ogun State, to cultivate it. So it might not appear as if, they are seeing anything, but right underneath, we understand, we appreciate that we have to collaborate. I have no other neighbor outside of Atlantic Ocean. It's only Ogun State. So I have to continue to go back to them to ensure. In fact, the three of us, we also said, Ogun, Oyo, and ourselves, how do we ensure that we have full power on Lagos-Ibadan Express Road? Full, all lit up. We're looking at the proposal to be to, do that and ensure that the whole place, is all is lit up and people can move, 24/7 without any. So all of that is happening, and it might not appear as if we're coming out to cut the tape, but we're working. We have letters that I'm doing water project in Adino too. I needed to get like a 8-kilometer right of way into Ogun State. We got it. We paid compensation. We almost finished that, the laying of those pipes. So we don't have a choice. We have assets that are inside Ogun State that we continue to keep, and we see that synergy working. But maybe. I live in there, and I write them a check every month. on a letter. Well, we're talking. We're actually talking, and like I said, the rail project are some of the ones that we can jointly do. The Lagos Ijebu, Epe road as well is another one. We did our road up to the border of Ogun State, and because it was a beautiful, carriage. The governor also took up the challenge and was able to also further extend it. We put a toll plaza. We said we're going to both share the revenue of the toll plaza, and so those are some of the things that we continue to engage ourselves in. There are farmlands that we have inside of their state that we're jointly developing, and it takes me to the question around light up. I just talked about we also lighting up the full expressway. It might appear as if it's not. What you see is that some of the lighting that we do, right, they usually have a lifespan. Some of those bulbs, needs to be changed after some time. But more importantly, which is very, very important, I would say, there is always a lot of pilfering. What's the word now? Sabotage. Sabotage. Yeah, and on our cables. You see that we have, cables that have been laid for street lights. People go and cut those cables. We've cut 2 days ago. We caught somebody removing, iron on our rail 2 days ago. So we've caught several people. So sometimes what we do is that those cables, we don't let them go beyond a certain. We'll just be joining them so that it doesn't become interesting for them. So sometimes these are some of the things that you see, and we'll keep going back to join. We keep going back to fix. There are people that are just vandalizing, some of our street lights. They will rip off the wire, even inside, the poles themselves. But we will continue to ensure that we go back and fix it. We'll continue to ensure that, and that's why I mentioned that we're actually even changing them from cable to LEDs and to solar lights, so that you cannot go there and change. So, but it's a lot of money, and it's something that we have to do, with intermittently. The third question around Oworoshoki, it's a very valid question. Everybody sees, that there's a huge, sand filling there. We have not, finalized what we want to do there. The objectives at that time, right, in my view, and in the reason of we looking at it, had not worked out very, very well. The logistics of even getting to the place, right from Third Mainland Bridge and rest of it, was a bit, was a bit untidy. Yeah. So we needed to think it through very well. And other options around, you put a small housing estate there? Do you use that to trigger, an investment, for the transportation, hub there? And the rest of it are conversations that we're trying to think through. And it also affects, the jetty that we have on the other side, around Bariga. But I will ask, the Ministry of Environment to go and look at the streets that have been mentioned, yes, on the Bariga side, and see how we can, do proper, either embankment or do proper, we can restrict the thing or just do shoreline protection, for them so that they don't need to go through some of these challenges. But we know there are a few proposals we have on the table, but we're looking for the best, one that will meet, the needs of what we see there. And there have been one or two issues with even the locals that were resolved, that is not needed, at this forum.
Okay, Mr. Governor, your infrastructural drive is obvious in all of the sector, on the roads, transportation, housing, health. But one major issue that's always been a problem has been the lack of maintenance culture, maintenance particularly. Do you have put in a lot of work, investment, even from London, from Morocco to China? And these infrastructures are there to make life better for people. Now, do you have plans and policies that are going to be put in place to ensure that these infrastructures, are there for a long time and are maintained and, go through the test of time?
Thank you. I mean, it might appear as if we're not up to speed in terms of maintenance, but that's not really what happens. Sometimes it is the bureaucracy of government that also can slow down, ability to respond fast enough, because even ability to get money out and be able to, get the needed maintaining agencies to it. But we have the structures. We have LASCAMA, which is, a Lagos, infrastructure agent, is a whole agency. We have the Public Works, which is a whole, agency of government. Those are some of the things they've been saddled with. We have EFAN, which is a whole agency of government on the drainage side. So all of those institutions are there, right? All of those institutions are there. The only thing that could also appear as if they're not is their plan, on how often they need to do those maintenance, those maintenance routine, right? And part of the things that we've said to them is that we'll continue to, ensure that they can front load and plan ahead. They cannot be reactive. They have to be proactive. It's not only when, the glass has got all dirty before you go. So they must have regular, scheduled and unscheduled maintenance. It's not, only when things are there. But the agencies are there. The parameters are there. Part of the things that we've said to them is that in the same way that we're paying for, road and the rest of it, the same way we're building the cost for maintenance. And it's also embedded in some way, in the new, infrastructure that we're building. When we do a new hospital, for example, now, cost of, ensuring that a facility manager is there is always embedded there. So that the first few years, somebody is on top of it before it passes on, to those agents. And we'll ensure that the period of retainership, the period of guaranteeing to ensure that everything is done is not left. So we're doing the best. One of the things that we'll probably take away from here is that we'll probably just need to continue to train and retrain so that people can, live up to those expectations. And these are the feedbacks that we hear from Lagosians, that in terms of maintenance, be more proactive, be more, out there doing this. But we'll have the structure and we have what it takes to do it.
Governor, Lagos is doing very well with capital importation, over 65%, I think. But there is, it looks like there is one sector that the Lagos state government doesn't seem to be enthusiastic about, and that's the tourism sector. I mean, this is a state that has great potential for tourism. What do you think? Why is that so? And what are you doing specifically for the creative economy also?
So Dr. Abati, for the first time, I will disagree with you on that, because I will give you information that would confirm that. For example, this last December, it's been said in various quarters that it's been the most, tourists, or it's been most, the word to use, fun-filled, December that we've had. This entire, festive period, in which we have more diaspora returnees, in which we have more guests and visitors entering Lagos, that they've seen in a very, very, very long. And these are empirical statistics that we got, even from all of the, tourist destinations, the hoteliers, and the rest of it. And I think it was also one of the things that led to even the timeout, scaling us and telling us that we are doing well, and 2024 we should actually even do better. And, if you remember, Dr. we actually last year, did the groundbreaking, for a film city, in for tourism. It has to be consistent, investment that you will see year on year before it begins to envelope up. We believe that the potentials are not just there. Lagos is deliberately, trying to let people be aware. I'll give you examples. In November coming this year, there are about 3 different things that you see. The Art of X exhibition, the fashion exhibition, the food exhibition. These are all interventions that we support year on year. The J. Randall Museum, several people have gone there, but we're going to open it up generally to the public very, very soon. It's also meant to, scale up, our tourism potentials. Yes, the opportunities are there. More investment could actually come in. I take that, but as a government, we're not unmindful of it. And we're not losing out on that verticals. We're actually creating. We gave them grants, of 10 million, 20 million, 40 million to do small short videos. All of those things we did. But to agree with you that there's still a lot of investment that is needed there. We need to have so many hotels, so many, investment on our coastline, about 180 kilometers of clear, Atlantic coast, beaches, that Lagos is known for. The private sector are actually also leading. Indeed, there are several beaches that you see in Lagos. During the Christmas, I also, went around some of them, and indeed, they're doing. So government can continue to be an enabler, continue to give them, that opportunity to do well, and you also know that in the music industry, we are a major supporter of all of them, directly and indirectly. The last Grammy that some of them even went, we sent people there to also go and encourage them. So the entire spectrum of that industry, it's a vertical that I am also very interested in. And we usually, it might not be seen, but we usually give all of them grants for them to continue to live it, because we know that it's tough for them. But in terms of additional infrastructure, yes, indeed, we need more hotels, we need more, tourist attraction. Badagry, for example, there's a conversation around some diasporan, some people, from Brazil that want to also come the Badagry side. We're also cleaning up all of our investment in that place, point of no return. Something happened also in November. You know, a whole team, you know, they all came down, you know, to go and look at what we have, you know, in Badagry, and a lot of exchange, you know, cultural exchange is also being done. So, yes, there is opportunity for more. Yes, there is a growth potential for more, but it's not that we're not, you know, putting, you know, the right investment or the right set of people. I mean, we have a commissioner of tourism that she's everywhere. She's running everywhere to ensure that, you know, that sector is not left behind, because we appreciate the potentials that are there, you know, especially also for our diaspora audience. You know, by the way, we also just set up another office, a diaspora office. We're the first to also do that after the federal government. It's a full agency, you know, just to show that we are, you know, we're monitoring them and we appreciate what they're doing.
Mr. Governor, I think we have less than 10 minutes, but so let's see how we can pack all of this before we take your final words to Lagosians. Lagos is doing pretty well in terms of IGR. Everybody knows that, and also is the least dependent on FAC, barely 25%. But that's kind of blindsides a lot of people to Lagos debt burden, which, if you do the external and the domestic debt burden, it crosses over the entire budget of 2.2 trillion. So what is your government doing to bring down that number before you leave office in the next few years? And somebody's also asking your preparations ahead of the inauguration for the Red Line and how far the phase 2 of the Red Line, the Blue Line, has gone before we take your final word.
Okay, thank you very much. So, I mean, I was once a banker, so I never get scared, you know, of numbers, and I never get scared of what borrowing is. The question around burden, you know, is what is your sustainability, and what lines of investment are you putting, you know, those burdens to, right? If you're using borrowing to advance economic development, what you're doing essentially, right, is that you are making your tomorrow better than today. Because you can imagine if, for example, we did not take the risk during COVID to have invested in the Red Line and the Blue Line, it would be stories. Not only will we not be able to do it today, right, we would have lost that completely, and it will have just been a mirage that indeed the government came and they talked about a rail infrastructure, but they were not audacious enough to take the risk. We took it. The only risk that we said that we did not want to take was a currency risk. And we said to them at that time, I will not take dollar. I will take a local currency, but I'll work with you to ensure that we deliver it. The good news is that we see rail, we see trains, and we're happy that we've done that. So the challenge around is 2 trillion. It's just a number. Indeed, the capacity of Lagos, we should be doing 20 trillion. Let me tell you, in the last budget, when we pulled all of our numbers together, my people were saying to me that they want a budget of 6 trillion. Guess what? We can only do 2. So that goes to show you the strength and the capacity that the state needs to. We need to be able to double the civil service. We need to be able to provide all of those roads that we're talking about. So we shouldn't even be scared about those numbers. The issue would be, what are we doing with those numbers? Where are we applying them to? For as long as you said, we're not using them to pay salaries, we're not using them to buy diesel, we're using them for economic development that will enhance the future of these states. So we will not be scared about that. We will always be transparent to show what we have used, because money that you don't spend today, right, or investment you don't make today, in 5 years' time, it becomes 4 or 5 times more expensive. And it has been shown. It has been proven all of the time. So take the risk, you know, be very calculative, measure it, make sure that there are risks in which you will not be trapped, you know, into default. So that take it in a way in which is well spread, and you do creative financing, you know, that can take you, you know, out of it at the end of the day. So we will not, you know, be concerned about that. You know, we continue to build a lot more. When people see it, there's also a willingness for them. Because people, you always ask yourself, which one first? People will say to you, they want service first. We want to see the road before we pay the tax. So you have to ensure that you can creatively build the road so that they get the tax. You know, so that's the balancing that we put to it. Regarding the commencement of the Blue Line, we've actually started the phase 2 of the Blue Line, you know, which is from mile 2 all the way to Okokomaiko. You know, so that has started. I mean, CCCC are on site. They're working. You might not see it. You know, they're demolishing a bridge by next week. They're demolishing a bridge by Trade Fair. they're going to build another bridge in that place for it. No. Yeah, by trade fair, they're going to build another bridge. That's what, they are doing all their preparation, because the beauty of the phase 2 is that is on grid, meaning that it's at a level, it's at level crossing. So they will do it quicker and faster. In 2 years, we should, based on funding, we should be able to complete, the phase 2, of the blue line. And regarding the phase 2 of the red line, we're also trying to raise, the funding strategy that will push to it, because that one is elevated. It's a bridge, a crossover eco bridge before it goes to Marina. So these are all major, massive investments that we're committed to. And we're looking for how to best fund it and get it on board for our people.
Well, Governor, I think at this point, let's begin to draw the curtain. We have less than 5 minutes to go. So what other promises do you want to make to the people of Lagos State who are listening to you about the present and the future?
And to Nigerians who are saying they've been power,
Thank you. Well, first really is to thank all of you and to thank, my viewers. For me, it's been a daily review, a daily assessment of, I ask myself at the end of the day, how well have you served Lagosians? How sincere have you been to the oath that you swore to? How well have you ensured that, the life of the people that you see on the street, you can indeed bring about policies that will make it better for them? And my charge with you is really for all of us to know that, yes, there are difficult times, there are hard times, but believe me, at the end of hard times, there will also be glorious time. But it's not just to fold our arms and believe and expect that the glorious time is just going to drop on us. No, it's really by hard work. It's by a sense of shared commitment, and the resilience for all of us to pull through, even during those challenging times. And that's why I want to encourage all of us to say to ourselves that, a call for civil unrest or strike or something is certainly not a solution. So think to it. So you burn down a bus. That's the government asset.
The heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress. Welcome to Souk News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, Souk News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. Souk News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, Souk News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. Souk News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions.
Welcome back. So we were directed to a live media chat with the governor of Lagos State, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. And during the media chat, he was talking about everything that has been going on in the country recently. The high cost of living, the hike in the prices of food items, and due to the fact that in other states they have been protests, the governor decided to have this media chat so that Lagosians will know that he is working to ensure that the lives of citizens and also their cost of living and everything should be reduced at this moment. So during the media chat, the governor mentioned ways he was going to make things a bit easier for the people of Lagos. He first of all started talking on transportation. Yes, people in Lagos State have been complaining about transportation prices always increasing, whether you're on the government-owned BRT buses or on the public transportation buses. So he also talked about how he's going to reduce transportation costs to 25% on the BRT buses and also on trains too. In addition, he mentioned that there will be a distribution of food items to households all over Lagos. So starting the first phase of this distribution of food items to households will be 300,000 households, where he's going to share food items from rice to yam to other solid food items for different families to also help them during this period in the hike in the cost of food prices. Next up, he also talked about Sunday markets. Yes, we have that in Lagos State at the moment. We have markets that open on Sundays, but not all markets. So he mentioned that there will be Sunday markets in 42 markets will be open on Sundays in Lagos State, and in these markets, food items will be sold at a highly reduced rate. So in partnership with the local government areas, this will be achieved. Hopefully, this will also help us to we won't be complaining about the prices and the cost of food items all the time. And I'm just running through this before I start discussing with my guests. And there's a plan to also feed 1,000 to 1,500 people in the local government areas in Lagos State in the long term. This could be done daily. So the local government areas in Lagos, they have a whole lot of work to do to help us in this period of economic hardship. And I'm looking forward to this because the complaints have been getting far too much. I mean, this is the metropolitan center in the whole of Nigeria. We can't afford to have this situation ongoing. And yes, we've seen protests in other parts of the country, but we don't want this in Lagos. So the governor coming out to have a press conference to discuss ways he's going to alleviate the suffering of the people is a very good step. And in the health sector, he also mentioned that there will be free healthcare, free medical checkups. So he's going to have this canopies, these tents where doctors can meet with patients on free charges, free consultation charges for you to check your blood pressure, for you to also find out if you have any ailments. So I think that's a very good step in the health sector. And in addition, in agriculture, the governor also mentioned that he's going to have to partner with the Ministry of Agriculture to have silos in the state. So he mentioned about 2 vessels of paddies and then silos to store grains in the states, which is also very good. Lagos having its own silos in the state to store grain. So I think in times like this, we could also take from those state-owned grain reserves. I think it's also a good step going forward. And in addition, he also has plans to have a logistics hub. So this logistics hub will also have different storage facilities for food items. I remember during the period of COVID, we had warehouses where food items were stored. And it wasn't until towards the later part of 2020 where these items were not even released. They were actually broken into by people. So I think to avoid that kind of situation, having a state-owned storage facility, and in times like this where there's inflation and some economic hardship, this state-owned food storage facilities can be opened up for people to be able to take food from them and to be shared among the citizens of the state. And also he mentioned urban farming. Now, urban farming is something I have discussed with guests here over the past week. This week also, we've talked about how in your own small backyard, you could plant things like vegetables, tomatoes, pepper, onions, so that it's not all the time you have to go to the market to be buying food items. So I think all the steps that the governor mentioned are actually very good steps going forward to help us during this period of economic hardship. I'm still here in the studio with my guest, Mr. Charles Fakura. We're also talking about personal finance and how to help yourselves during this period of economic hardship in the state. So the governor did mention some certain directives he's going to put into place, and I'm impressed with them. But Mr. Charles will also give us his thoughts on what the governor mentioned.
Yes, thank you very much, Lovina. Well, first of all, one has to commend the governor for, on this rainy day, coming out to have this media chat, and yes, we all monitored the chat from the studio here, and we saw how the governor was, how would I put it, very robust in his answers to some of those questions those senior journalists asked him and all that. But I want to say that all those palliative, all those measures, you know, Lagos State government is making a mistake in one way or the other.
Why do you say that?
Yes, the issue now is Lagosians are people who are hardworking.
Yes.
Even in the rain today, you could see that they all want to get to their place of work. Those who are in private business, they want to get to their business. So we just need the government to create that enabling environment. Yes, for me, all these measures are temporary measures, just an intervention because of the high cost of food items. Not only food, even energy.
Yes.
You know, you mentioned of transportation, and I'm happy with the things he has done. Some areas in transportation, I might even do some PRO for the Lagos area, because today, I use the train, and I've been using the train all the way from the Festac corridor. You get to mile 2, and very neat. The officials there are also very, very professional. You enter the train, even if you don't have a seat, you will stand there and everything is so neat. Even when you get to your terminal, you know, fine. And today I was particularly impressed because when we got to National Theatre, I had an announcement. They said for those who are going to UBA, Oando, that's along Marina there, you know,
Yes.
because they can't come down, follow the train to the end of Outer Marina. And some people actually disembarked from the train, and there was a bus waiting for them. You know, so for me, that shows that, yes, transportation is intermodal. The rail, the road, the water, and that is good. Now, Sanwo-Olu is doing well when it comes to that. But one particular area that is making Lagosians not to believe things he's even saying is the road transportation. Sometime, maybe last year or 2 years ago, they mentioned that this local downfall buses, you will just pay maybe 700 or 800 naira and you get one ticket, and that's the end. Maybe for that particular day. But as we speak, you still see that at every bus stop, you still have these young men unkept who still harass people. That is, harass the transport, the
bus
drivers
yes.
and their conductor and all that. Lagos is the center of excellence. We don't want that kind of thing. Because that will go a long way in taking care of energy poverty when it comes to transportation. That is fine. Yes, for the food palliative, everything is fine. But again, I want to advise that the persons he has mentioned will be involved in this distribution of this food item. Let them have a change of hearts. This is national television. I'm going to say it with due respect. That it is not when these items, like the hub is talking about, you know, food hub and all that. Yes. Not when it comes, you know, let's take my Festac corridor. And before you know what, they'll be asking you to produce your APC card, a membership card. And they'll say, okay, who is your ward chairman? For God's sake, politics is over. We are talking about governance. We are talking about the welfare of Lagosians.
Yes, yes.
And that is what should be paramount. It is not about, oh, I'm an APC card carrying member. Oh, no, I'm not an APC card carrying member. So for me, that is a change of mindset before all these things will actually work. And they must have that robustness in which I saw the governor, the way he is talking, he's really serious and wants to really achieve these things. But the people he's going to use to implement or execute some of this program, they have to buy into his vision. And
yes,
he himself has to be very, very transparent, honest, integrity. Then the other arm of the government, that is the legislators, they should also follow suit. You don't just, these times are hard. We're looking at inflation, food inflation over 33%. We're talking of people's personal finance. You used to spend, maybe you are budgeted a fixed amount of money for a particular item, maybe for feeding, for food. Now you need to spend 10 times that amount. Yes. Where is that funding coming from? You know, so it's a time where we are telling Lagosians or Nigerian generally to say, okay, your lifestyle. But for how long will they adjust? You know, I was telling some person that, look, there is a lifestyle inflation. You are working in an organization, you get promoted. Then you don't want to use the kind of car you are using. You want to get a new car to befit your new position, your new promotion. I'm advising them now, please, don't do that. If you do that, that is what we call lifestyle creep. It is an inflation. It's a lifestyle inflation. So let us all be very, very careful. Let us, in terms of our spending, for now, I'd always advise, being a personal finance expert, we should be looking at our necessities, not our wants. They're two different things.
Yes.
Our necessities. That is what we should plan for now. Like the governor have said, this hard time will not last forever. So these interventions is well received from the governor, and Lagosians are willing to cooperate to ensure that we have peace in Lagos. I will tell you, as a broadcaster and somebody who moves around, if you listen to the discussions of Lagosians, even in bus stops, street corners, inside the vehicle, you will see that these are people who are just waiting for something to trigger them, and they are just off. Yes. In fact, a legislator, because of that, they couldn't return back to Lagos. They don't want to mention her name. Because Lagosians or Amu-Odofin local government, first act in particular, they felt that she doesn't want it to go back to that house because of her utterances. So, yes, Lagosians are not lazy. We don't want handouts. We just want the government to create that enabling environment, try to tamper this inflation, and see that the policies are working. Then Lagosians will go about their normal duties and fend for themselves. We don't want government to be giving us stipend, give you one load of rice or gari. No, Lagosians don't want that. Create a enabling environment so that they can do their business peacefully and earn and feed themselves. You know, so I will encourage all Lagosians to reappraise their personal finance because of the times in which we find ourselves. If you have not done your personal finance before, please get in touch with a finance expert, maybe a stockbroker who is vast in that area, and you begin to draw your own comparator. But before I even go, he made mention of health.
Yes, yes.
Now, yes, because I also have interest in healthcare, and I know that some of these drugs, you know, people who have certain illness, diabetic, hypertension, you know, and all that. In fact, I will mention, my wife is a senior nurse and midwife, and she tells me some patients cannot afford to pay for the drugs. Yes. The doctors are prescribed.
He also mentioned that there will also be a reduction in the prices of drugs that these doctors will prescribe during the free medical checkups that he intends to.
Okay, I was coming to that too. That is the free medical mission they will be doing. Yes. Again, like I said, it should not be for APC members alone. It should be for all Lagosians in that locality, because these persons are quick to just ascribe that it is their right, it is their entitlement, you know, and all that. So again, if you say you are going to be a rebate on those drugs, please let us see it to be done. Because we have seen cases where even in primary school, in some of these local government, the headmistress or headmaster or there, or even principals, they tell the student to bring certain amount of money. Meanwhile, some of those things they give, they say they are free. So he has to really have this monitoring team to ensure that the goals, what they want to achieve, it is achieved. And I appeal to Lagosians, please, let us, all of us, cooperate with Lagos State government so that we'll have peace, and at the same time, we'll be smiling. Then the hardship that we're all going through, we will not suffer for too long.
Okay. Thank you for that, Mr. Charles Fakura. We actually, yes, we all look forward to these measures that the state governor talked about, to everything coming into fruity, and we can all benefit from it all. So let's take a look at the stock market figures for today, 21st February. Let's take a look at the let's take a look at the parallel market figures for today, 21st February. Yes, so we all know that the prices of the parallel markets has been increasing over the last few days. It's quite an astronomical increase over the last few days. So today, the naira is buying the dollar at 1,880 naira, and it's selling at 1,900 naira. And the pound sterling, the naira is buying the pound sterling at 2,230 naira, and it's selling at 2,260 naira. And the euro, the naira is buying the euro at 1,940 naira, and it's selling at 1,960 naira. So, Mr. Charles, you can see our parallel market figures are really increasing. It's quite worrisome, actually. It looks like the dollar will soon reach 2,000 naira to $1, and I mean, it's something I'm worried about.
Okay, I'm seeing the figures, the graphics. Yes, what we are saying here is, okay, for dollar now, you're saying people are buying dollar at 1,880 naira, and of course the dealers are selling for 1,900. That is the bureau de change rates we are talking about.
The unofficial market.
Unofficial market. Yes, you know, it's only when you flood the official market with this dollar that the people in the parallel market will have no choice. Yes. But again, as we speak, I knew of somebody who runs a small business, but most of her input she has to import. Okay? Now, getting this dollar from her bank is a big problem. And I must say this, she will have to now go to the so-called parallel market. That is, she will go to the malams on the streets and negotiate, and that is where she will get that dollar. And getting it, she will now go and deposit in a DOM account before she can now apply for those important inputs that she needs for our business. So again, it boils down to professionalism. We want to see where, because there have been a lot of acquisition against the bankers. Yes. We want to ensure that the CBN increases its oversight function for this bank's operation. That is, dollars that are meant for the bank, let it be there, so that genuine importers can get this dollar and make use of it to produce. Because there is no economy that you cannot import. But you are importing, imagine somebody is into agriculture. You want to import machineries that will assist you in increasing your production. You need to go to the bank. So, yes, this will continue if the government does not intervene intentionally. We will see these rates behave the same way. But I believe that Nigerians should also begin to check themselves. Like I've spoken with the bankers now, they should also know that they have to be professional, you know, when it comes to FX transactions, international operations and all that. Then CBN should also increase their monitoring to ensure that this FX operation is done properly. Then we cannot continue like this if we don't increase our production, because it is when we sell what we have produced, then we earn this hard currency. That is where. And of course, we're also mentioning that in certain transactions within Nigeria, people want to settle with dollar. Yes. I don't know why it is not being made a criminal offense. You cannot be in Nigeria, there is a school in Nigeria, and you tell me, I want to pay school fees, I have to go and get dollar. It is not done anywhere. If you have the dollar, please go to the bank, give them the dollar, and change to Naira, and come and pay the school fees or any other transactions you are doing. So we cannot continue dollarization of our economy. It's not good for us. In fact, some economists have even proposed that what is wrong if we sell our crude and tell them, pay us in Naira. Pay us in Naira. But before we get to that level, the economics of it, yes, you know, because economics is not just on its own. There are a lot of political issues involved when it comes to world economy. So we have to be very careful about it. And at the same time, we need to show that Nigeria is indeed the giant of Africa. And we must show that in terms of our production. You know, sorry, Sanwo-Olu was mentioning we are going to import use some vessels to import paddy of rice and all that.
He wants to make sure that we have high storage of these grains in our storage facilities, state storage facilities.
Some of those things. We can cultivate them here. Yes, we can cultivate them here. But again, for just to intervene as a short-term measure, because things are already getting out of hand, yes, one would say, fine, it could go ahead to do such a thing. But it should not be the norm. That's what I'm trying to say. So we should try to reduce the dollarization of the economy, and we'll see that things will gradually improve.
Yes, thank you for that, Mr. Charles Fakura. Yes, so on today's show on Market Insights, we were discussing personal finance and economic hardship and how we're coping during this period. Before we move over to the live media chat with the Governor of Lagos State, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. And during the media chat, he also mentioned ways he was going to improve on the lives of Lagosians, ways he was going to also help to aid them during this period of inflation. And so far, all the measures he put together, we hope it comes into reality. We hope he can actually start doing them as soon as possible, because we don't want any breakdown of law and order. So that was our package for today on Market Insights. It was quite long because we had to join them for the live media chat. And stay tuned for more programming on Souk News. I remain your host, Lavina Emma.